Hello and welcome to the third and the Dawn Football Show. I am Joe. With me is Cecil, as always, here to recap Week 13 of the NFL season, preview Week 14. It feels like it maybe isn't this far into the season, but we're into December right now. Cecil, how are you doing?
Great. You know what? A lot of fantasy football, playoffs. I'm in contention. I've clinched in two, and then our league is a literal anybody could get in, anybody could get eliminated. It's been a hell of a time fantasy wise this year, and NFL season, and then nobody. It feels like nobody is really going to be the surefire winner besides maybe the 49ers right now in any way.
Yeah, that's pretty true. And you're right, fantasy for us is going to be a fun weekend. There's 7 teams in contention for the playoffs and 3 teams in a 10-team league in contention for last place. A lot of fun. We don't usually see stuff like that, so excited for that. Excited for all that joy that's going to bring both of us probably. But let's get started with a recap of Week 13. Cease. It started on Thursday Night Football. Seahawks and Cowboys is a pretty good Thursday Night Football game. DK Metcalf had a heck of a game for the Seahawks. 6 catches, 134 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He got the better of Darren Bland for a couple of those catches. Bland did get him back. He got an interception late in the game. Cowboys win 41-35. Dak increases his MVP chances as we go along, still playing pretty well. It's a good fight by the Seahawks, but the Cowboys are, as we said last week, Cease, other than
It,
the Eagles and the Eagles and 49ers, they're looking like the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, no, it was a really good matchup, honestly. I mean, DK Metcalf, it's been a very slow season for him at times, or they haven't had the. And if there's one weakness of the Cowboys, it's definitely their secondary, and I think it's overlooked because of pass rush and because of Deron Bland this year. But the same thing with Trayvon Diggs seems to be true with Deron Bland is these guys can get burnt, and then they can make some weird plays on the ball where they're going to pick a lot, but they can also get kind of torched on some routes. So they're big play, big risk kind of corners, which I think played for the Cowboys a lot this year because they've been up so much and kind of blow up in their face. Luckily, in this one, the Cowboys, after kind of a stunning end of the first half, was able to just their game and come away with a win and a really hard fought, probably the best Thursday. Cowboys again showing we're one of the best teams in the NFL. Show they can make the playoffs, and they can make some noise here if they get the chance. They're not completely out, but we just see again. We talked about guys are just in a different class than the Seahawks. Seahawks are kind of in that next kind of the top couple teams.
Yeah, definitely. Seahawks are probably right below on that NFC, and a team that's still hard to figure out. 6-6, still a lot to play for. They have the 49ers coming up this week. We're going to pick that game later. I think that could be huge for the Seahawks season, one way or another, whether it's making the playoffs or not. To be honest, so a lot to look forward to. Let's move on to Sunday. There was a lot of good games on Sunday, Cecil. We have the Colts beating the Titans in overtime, 31-28. There was a lot of touchdowns early, and then it was a bunch of field goals, a safety in there as well. Derrick Henry had his second straight game with 2 touchdowns rushing. Gardner Minshew, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ultimately, they get the win here. That's huge for the Colts. They're looking like a playoff team right now. If the season ended, they'd be in the playoffs. The Titans, they're fighting hard. They're not a great team. They're just trying to develop Will Levis and see what they got for next year at this point.
Right. No, I mean it's crazy, especially considering the collapses we've seen the last couple of seasons when they were the ones that were kind of favored to win the division. Good to see him have that fight. It's good to see, Gardner Minshew be the one leading him to victory. That guy deserves a starting job, not just to be the backup in the league. I'm all in for Minshew, man. You know, horrible in this game. There was a lot of special teams misuse by the Titans. So I think that's really what caused them to lose this game ultimately. I mean, the Colts have a sneaky good defense right now. I mean, they're away. They're not giving up a ton of points. But I mean, this was kind of like these teams 3 years ago almost. Like they kind of came back to life for just a little bit for a couple games or so. Colts, like you said, are still alive, very much in the wild card race. Um, we also thought we're dead in the water. So what happens there? Your season's over. Stick with Will Levis. I mean, we've seen enough signs of life to think this is somebody go forward. I think they just need to fix that offensive line more than anything. That way, if they're going to stick with Derrick Henry for a little bit, they got to give him a little more ability to run instead of just getting tackled in the backfield constantly. I think the line will only help the running game and help their young quarterback because they've got receivers right now. Their defense is good enough. I mean, you could use upgrades there, but I think first round pick for the Titans, unless a lot of things just don't fall their way, that they should be going offensive lineman early.
Yeah, mock draft for me coming out tomorrow is going to have the Titans taking offensive lineman. Shocker. And this is something Mike Vrabel's going to want to do too. So, they're going to go back to running the ball with Derrick Henry a lot more, and they've obviously done that the last couple of weeks. But and then they're going to have Will Levis being able to play off of that, which will help his production as well. Next game up, Steve, we have the Chargers beating the Patriots. It seemed like an old school score. It was 6-0. Cameron Dicker is the player of note here. He scored all 6 points for the Chargers. The Patriots 2-10 now, looking like they might get one of the top quarterbacks in the draft class. And at this rate, hopefully they just tank at this, to get that. Chargers trying to play their way back into the playoff picture. A win that was in bad conditions, so it's good they won it. They won this one. The spread was 5.5, and they covered the spread by only scoring 6 points total. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was I'm glad we didn't get to watch too much of this game because there wasn't really that much to see. Just no offense whatsoever. It's really bad. Like basically, the Chargers just stacked the box every play, just trying to. Bill Belichick didn't take anything from it. Bill O'Brien, Bill Belichick under the now. Pretty much saying that he doesn't have a lot of full control of the offense. He pretty much has to work in whatever parameters Bill Belichick gives him. Not a lot apparently. So now you got coordinators who save their careers being like, it is as much Bill O'Brien's fault as it is Bill. Not kid ourselves. You watch this game and you're just like, this is not really salvageable right now. The way this team is trending, the way the clip from 2 weeks ago from drill preppers talking about how bad the team was, that NFL Films caught and posted. I mean, the locker room's a mess. They don't have a quarterback. Their coach doesn't seem willing to really give up control and thinks he really needs to. It's over the Patriots. And Chargers. Come on, guys. Like 6 points, 2 field goals, all you can do. Like they're not any good either. The Chargers are in this weird, mystical. The AFC is become wild cards have become this crazy Wild West where anybody could get there. That somehow the Chargers are still alive too. But let's be honest, they put together a horrible season so far. It's just ungodly. It's unbelievable to me. They're not any good. They've just failed at every level system. They cannot get wins in most games. They should have been favored in this game. Sure, things break their way, but Chargers been charging, and the head coach is one of the big reasons why. And the idea that you won this game by 2 because the other team was just literally is just probably the most Chargers thing to really just cement. Even in a win, the Chargers look absolutely awful.
Very true. They have a big game coming up with the Broncos, which could help decide a lot of things. Broncos got off to that rough start and are now trending in the right direction, even though they lost this past week as well, which we'll get to in a second too. But that could mean a lot. For this AFC West, Chargers and Broncos play twice down the stretch here. Could decide a lot with this AFC playoff picture. Next game up, the Lions beat the Saints 33-28. Now, see, the Lions went up 21-0 in this game. This was we had two options for the national TV game. We watched Sunday Ticket on a different screen. We turned this game off to go watch the Cardinals Steelers because it was 21-0 within the first 7 minutes. The Saints end up battling back. That was, this Lions stopped scoring. The Saints end up battling back, and they score touchdown second half. Derek Carr gets hurt. Jameis Winston goes in. He throws cool passes that get tipped by a defender and go right into the receiver's hands. Just the flag. I do that in flag football too. It's a fun thing to do. We got to see Jameis. We got to see them fight back and come back. But the Lions were able to hang on. You just kind of wish it was in more a dominating fashion after how good of a start they got.
No, absolutely. I mean, the Lions almost blew this game, and again, it's the top of the NFC is tough to beat. Won't get away with like that's an epic. They almost had a epic collapse at the end of this game. Pretty much, an epic collapse for 3 quarters. It's hard when you get all to that fast to start, and you just game. There was weird personnel to. I don't know why did Montgomery just literally stayed in the whole game. It felt like, even though Jahmyr Gibbs was, had huge run plays from the start of the game, and then in obvious passing situations, he's still not in. I'm a Gibbs fantasy owner, but that's not the only reason why. Jahmyr Gibbs is by far the better receiving back. Balls to Dave Montgomery that he's dropping on third downs, and it's like the Lions they're doing weird stuff. It doesn't make sense, and it is concerning that you have a Saints team that just suddenly you let back into the game. For pretty much the Lions basically got, I think, one more touchdown at this game, and that's pretty much what they're up by so much. You can't play like that and expect to win some playoff games past the wild card round, because that's once we get to the divisional, they're going to be playing, one of the Cowboys, Eagles, or 49ers most likely. And those teams are not going to go down easy, and they're going to have to play much smarter, complete football. Can't play they fight, claw back for a win. They can't play this. We got off to a hot start and slow down. A win's a win, sure. And we've talked about with the Eagles a lot this year, but sometimes it just inconsistencies with the Lions are way more, and it just feels like it's going to bite them in the wrong time when they come to the playoffs, and they're just not going to be able to recover.
Yeah, I feel that, Cease. I think that's a sentiment I think a lot of people share is if they don't get the right matchup, it could be a bad playoffs for the Lions, which is not something a lot of people want to see. They want to see the underdogs and the team that has struggled for so long do well. The Saints, it was so disappointing. They have a perfect shot to win this NFC South this year and to go get Derek Carr, and he just becomes captain check down. When they put Jameis in the game, he's doing Jameis things. They just can't figure it out. I think a full-on reset is what this team needs. They've done so many years of just trying to avoid the cap and just restructuring contracts. I just wish they would figure that out more so than kind of like delaying things. Maybe just a full rebuild. And they might be in a position to do it. If they keep losing games like this, it might be in a position to take a quarterback, maybe not one of the top two, but one of the better quarterbacks in this draft class and start doing it, because it just does not look pretty. The next game we have, the Falcons beat the Jets 13-8. This was not one game that was worth noting, really. It's just a bad weather game. The Falcons get the win. Bijan Robinson got 18 carries. You like to see that, even though it was tough to get yards against this Jets defense. The Jets score 8 points. They got 2 field goals and a safety. After this game, Tim Boyle was cut, and now it's reported that Zach Wilson is reluctant to go back in the starting lineup. That's obviously been something that's been conflicted the last couple of days, whether he has been reluctant or not. Either way, the Jets aren't going anywhere this year. The Falcons might win the NFC South, and both these teams are garbage.
Yeah, that game was a real shit show. Bijan Robinson got hit 5 yards in the end zone for a safety. The Jets defense is really good, and Arthur Smith, is a limited offensive mind. Straight up. He used Bijan on this game, but, the Jets defense requires a little more than just, we're going to run the ball with Bijan. They're top 3, probably the best unit in the NFL, and they show it week in and week out, and they Falcons never get a touchdown, and that basically is coffin nails for a Jets team. It seems like every week is if a team scores a touchdown, they don't defend the touchdown themselves. Um, it's tough to watch if you're a Jets team fan. I don't know what to think of this Zach Wilson. Like he's reluctant to go back into the starting role. Like what the hell does that mean? You don't want to play anymore? Like I'm just like it's just like what a shit show do we have going on with the Jets organization at this point? Like the idea that like you're an NFL player who like your livelihood kind of depends. They're like we're gonna put you back in the starting lineup, and you think he really just went. I don't know if that's better career. I mean, what is going on? Meanwhile, you got Aaron Rodgers doing this, putting back to the practice with this charade of pretending he can practice where he can barely move. From the little bit of like clips and pictures and reports I've heard, it's Aaron Rodgers basically standing like a statue around, you know, walk or run, can't jump up in the air even like a couple inches. So, I mean, team that is just so dysfunctional that they didn't have a backup plan at quarterback. They pretty much, I mean, we're seeing what the AFC looks like. In the AFC, even I mean, the top, everyone is beatable in some way or another. Now, some teams have the resume and have been before and have been the playoffs. They'll have that experience. But every team has proven to itself they're beatable. I mean, the Dolphins are the 1 seed right now. Look, I mean, they're beatable. You've got the Chiefs who look beatable. You've got the Jaguars who just got beat on Monday night by a team that was pretty much left for dead. Ravens are beat. Browns don't have a quarter. Like half the teams don't have quarterbacks. Other teams' offenses can't seem to figure it out. Everybody is vulnerable. It feels like you could walk in the playoffs and there could just be upset after upset. It just doesn't feel like anybody. Sure, there's a team you go, these guys are favorited, but at this point, I don't know what that even means because it doesn't seem to matter at this point in the NFL. So parity is everywhere, I guess, but also it's just last couple of weeks with all the injuries and the Jets could have basically been a playoff team. And who knows, with this crazy ass season, if they had a half decent backup quarterback that wasn't Zach Wilson, or they traded for somebody, traded for Kirk Cousins before he got hurt, or just anybody out there. I mean, this defense is good enough to play. I mean, Josh Dobbs literally started out with the Vikings and got cut by the Cardinals. I mean, just can get you yards. They literally, that's all they need, and they could be a team this year. And with the way these other teams have been playing, who knows? The defense, it could be like the 2000 Ravens or something. They are that good. It's just you at least need someone that's Trent Dilfer. They don't even have somebody who's Trent Dilfer on this team to lead them to a victory. So you need at least somebody, a human being that can get you a first down every once in a while on your team. The Jets don't have that, and they pretty much have now given into whatever voodoo magic Aaron Rodgers is part of, just acting like that's a solution when the reality just shows his leadership. I don't know, come back next year, but who the hell cares? I mean, you're in this league to try to win it. And, maybe, Aaron Rodgers can come back for a playoff run. That was unlikely too, but it's just weird. I'm not going to sign a real backup starting Zach Wilson. I know Tim Boyle's terrible, but I'm going to keep him on the roster. And they were just with the injuries that turned on to other teams, that was a really stupid decision.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this team dug their own grave when they kept on sticking with Zach Wilson week after week. They had plenty of options to go make a move. Remember, Rodgers got hurt in the opening game. If you get to week 4, we all knew by week 4, all right, Wilson's had a couple games. There's nothing he's going to do. You have 5 weeks, 6 weeks until the trade deadline at that rate. So go make a move. Now you've dug your own grave. I know that in the building they want to win the games. It makes no sense to cut Tim Boyle now because you're not going to the playoffs. You're 4-8, Aaron Rodgers, makes no sense for him to come back either behind this offensive line, which needs some help. Just keep Tim Boyle in there, or if Zach Wilson, if he doesn't want to play, throw Tim Boyle back out there. And if you lose, you get the higher draft pick to get a better offensive lineman in the draft. There's two very good tackles. It's like one of these, like, oh, well, maybe we can win with what we got. No, that's not how it works. You have to go and try to improve your roster, and that's what's frustrating for the Jets. I assume we're not going to be talking about them too much the rest of the way unless Aaron Rodgers just does something crazy by coming back. So, good riddance for them for not getting penalized for not really trying to go up and above and beyond by getting a new quarterback when they had the chance. The Arizona Cardinals beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 24-10. This was a game that had a couple of different weather delays. Kyler Murray only threw for 145 yards and 1 touchdown. They kept it on the ground with James Conner, who had 105 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Good thing for the Cardinals here, for Kyler Murray at least, because he gets the win. The more wins they get, the more likely it is they keep him at quarterback and not draft a new one, as there are 2 very good quarterbacks in this draft class who could be going in the top 2 picks of this draft. And for the Steelers, Kenny Pickett gets hurt in this game. They were struggling even when he was in the game. He had surgery on his ankle. Looks like Mitch Trubisky will be the starter from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say it changes that much for their offense. I mean, Kenny Pickett is slightly better than Mitch Trubisky, and he can throw left. But I mean, their offense is just wildly inconsistent right now. Team that has an offense where basically Arizona scored, in the before the half and then scored early in the third quarter, and we just went, it's over. Like your team, it's sad in the modern NFL now because there are teams out there where we saw with the Bengals while Joe Burrow was severely limited with that calf that, they're down by 2 touchdowns and it's like early third quarter. It feels like the game's virtually over. And the Steelers are in that category right now. Their defense is good. A defense doesn't usually score points. That's it. Even if they do, it's safeties too. And how many times do you get, pick sixes or fumble recoveries or touchdowns, much less multiple in a game? And that's what it feels like defense every time. And that's exhausting. Defense, it's hard to have that level of consistency over and over. It's hard to stay hyped. It's hard to, importantly, keep your body from cramping and being in peak physical, condition to compete when, you got to start and stop. It's the same thing with when the rain happens and a rain delay, the pitcher's pretty much done because your muscles start to tighten and it's just not smart to try to go out there afterwards. So, maybe the Steelers ran into that too, but the Cardinals had everything against them in this game. And they came out and they didn't do anything crazy. Kyler Murray didn't do anything that nuts. They just pounded the ball with James Conner, and the Steelers defense just didn't have an answer for it. And, they got embarrassed at home. It was that simple. And, you can say, well, Kenny Pickett got hurt. I don't think Kenny Pickett being in that game would. So, Steelers could make they still could make the playoffs. Again, the AFC right now, when it comes to the wild cards, I have no clue. I honest to God sit here and I try to prognosticate and guess, but each team either has a huge core, middling at best at what anything. So it's really hard to. People are too hurt to really. There's just too many unknowns because of all the injuries to really say with authority who's going to get in and who's going to be out. And it's just so deep in the season, so many wins and losses and games already been played that some teams are like the Chargers are so far out of it, but somehow they're in just because their team is healthy. They have a hope to be in the playoffs. So, yeah, I don't know. Steelers not looking. It sucks if you're a Steelers fan, but at the same time, you draft Kenny Pickett, you've chosen Kenny Pickett as your guy, and to just Matt Canada, I think there's just a lot of things that still need to get paid off. I think they beat up on a Bengals, basically sleepwalking after losing their quarterback in a huge emotional game the week before. And I think they took advantage of that, sure, and no familiarity with the new offense. It seems like we're just getting more of the same Steelers in this one.
Absolutely. The frustrating thing for Steelers fans probably has to be that they're, as you mentioned, their defense is good. Like they're close to. I mean, this was a bad game for them and everything, but they're also on the field a ton because the offense stinks. They're so close. Get a quarterback, get a wide receiver, another wide receiver to go with George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. Maybe get another running back. If Najee Harris has to leave and Jalen Warren isn't your answer there, but it's so close, and that's got to be just frustrating. So hopefully for them, they can make the playoffs. Cardinals, like I said, good win for them for Kyler Murray just to keep his spot. The next game, sees we had the Dolphins winning 45-15. Not too much for this game. It was a rain game, but they still threw the ball deep. Tyreek Hill just made people slip and slide, and he had 5 catches for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. Right now, I'd say I think Tyreek Hill should get more love for the MVP. There's a lot of quarterbacks. I'm not sure it's going to be a year where quarterbacks deserve the award. They're probably going to get it, but they win 45-15. Just the typical Dolphins. When they play a team that they are better than, they will blow them out.
Yeah, I mean, it really was a kind of a. I mean, it just seems like explosive, and when they're on, and it's off to the races with them. Tua didn't make any turnovers in this game, and they thrived because of it. A Chain was getting more involved, which is good. I think it'll kind of slowly become time, especially once they make. Um, I'm right with you, man. Tyreek Hill should be MVP at this point because you look at probably the top two right now are you got he is somehow the favorite, and Dak Prescott is second. Now, Brock Purdy is a weird case of just going. I don't know. It's just because he hasn't been in the league long enough, and because of where he was drafted, that people are just vote for him. But at the same time, it's a weird Kyle Shanahan and all the weapons and the defense, and it's a completely loaded team that feels like Brock Purdy didn't exist. Somebody else would be in there. Sam Darnold would almost have similar results, it feels like. I think Brock Purdy does it really well, but everybody kind of keeps looking is when is Brock Purdy going to screw this up? And that's for you also just go, what are we like? Like, it's weird because when we're going into these playoffs, the biggest question mark for the 49ers is, are they going to be able to play from behind? Is Brock Purdy going to be able to play the game? And that's weird for the league, or for that guy to be first or win MVP or be second in voting or something crazy like that. Haven't done anything. Dak is good, and I think Dak is great, but he's had a really good season, but it's not been a great a just blown out of the water statistical season. Everyone, all the quarterbacks are kind of having good but not great seasons. Meanwhile, Tyreek looks like having of anybody ever. Calvin Johnson in his heyday. Jerry Rice even. The season he's having is it's unreal. Every time he touches the ball, it's the Dolphins' offense would not be anywhere near as electric and explosive if he wasn't on the field. He makes that offense run, and teams are terrified every time he touches the ball, and they still coming to him. They still can't tackle him. They still can't stop it. That's why the Dolphins are going to have a deep playoff run, because if they do, it's because Tyreek Hill continues to make plays and gets an extra 30 yards on a run down. Or, it's a negative play. He then turns into a 5-yard gain because he's just that explosive. I think it just, the MVP has turned into a quarterback show, and we have all talked about it. I don't think MVP should just become a quarterback only award. And if that's how we're just going to consider MVP from now on, it's just whoever's the best quarterback, we should just make a different award. Myles Garrett was talked about for MVP, and I thought that was a interesting take as well, and one that until he got hurt and the Brown season's kind of been dipping late, that would be a 2,000 yards rushing. Um, there are plenty of people that aren't quarterbacks that deserve MVP. And in a season where no quarterback is really dominated in any way, and I just can look and go, wow, that guy looks just unstoppable. The Lamar Jackson MVP year. It's not the Pat Mahomes MVP years. Just there's nothing like that going on. So for Tyreek getting it, I think the Dolphins took care of business in this game. My only gripe is that weather reports need to get more accurate out there. I lost some money because wasn't supposed to rain at 11:30, and somehow it was raining the entire game. And I lost because of Sam Howell passing yards because inexplicably Ron Rivera can't get Sam Howell to throw for 225 yards when it's they're in a team that's down 3 possessions of the ball enough to get 225 yards, and they keep running the ball. They keep running it no matter what. I hate Ron Rivera, and I don't hate him, but I hate this play style. And I would like a check in the mail, Mr. Rivera. That's all I'm going to say.
Don't know if you're going to get that, Cease, but I wish you luck on doing that. Tyreek Hill this year so far, 93 catches, 1,481 yards, and 12 touchdowns. We have 5 games left. It's likely he's going to get to that 2,000-yard mark if he just kind of keeps doing what he's doing. He's going up against some good defenses in the last 5 weeks, including the Cowboys and then the Ravens and the Bills, I believe. But he's been doing it against everyone all year. I mean, there's been a couple bad games, I think, against the Chiefs, against the Bills as well the first time around. But everyone else, he's hit double-digit fantasy points even in standard scoring leagues. This is more than a fantasy award, I know, but if he's doing this much, he deserves more consideration. That's why I brought it up. I just think Dak Prescott has a case, Brock Purdy has a case in that he's the quarterback on the best team, but that's pretty much it to me. And some defensive players have a case too, I think, but it's just weird that we're not talking about that. So I thought I'd bring it up. But the Dolphins keep on rolling. Current number 1 seed in the AFC. We'll see if they can keep that up. The Texans beat the Broncos 22-17. Texans start this one off hot. The Broncos try to come back. They get the ball on a goal-to-go situation. They miss a couple throws. Third and goal. Russell Wilson throws a pick. Good game for C.J. Stroud. Get things back on track. They're 7-5, looking like a playoff team right now. Tank Dell goes down in this game. Have to point out in this one, they had him blocking on the interior on a goal line play. That is absolutely stupid for a receiver who's 5'7" and maybe 150 pounds soaking wet. Just cannot excuse that. That's the first thing I'll say. And second thing, for someone who bet on the Broncos in this game, as we talked about, and if you're watching with your friends and your friend sits there and tells you to cash out, don't be a buzzkill friend. That's the number one advice I'll give to you. You can help your friends make money by telling them to cash out, but when you're sitting there with a parlay riding on the Broncos scoring on a 4th and goal situation where I could have made $20, but if I win the bet, I win like hundreds. No, we don't need the person in our ears telling us to cash out. See, so that's something to watch out for. If you have a friend like that, that's a bad negative friend. You get rid of that friend.
Yeah, there's for all those sports gamblers out there and the live betting craze that's out there. Cashing out is, if you're cashing out for a stupid low amount of money where it's basically your bet plus like $2 more, and then you reinvest it back into basically the same bet, you're a crazy person. I just want to tell you that. Like, you're not just stare at your phone, you're waiting for the cash out. Like, there's a difference when you're like, all right, they're in control of this game, but something could happen on the next thing. They're giving me a pretty decent payout. And then I'm going to take my cash that's still up from what I was going to get by a decent amount. That's fine. Take the cash when you can. Or, in the fourth quarter where there's like a minute left and it seems like it's sealed, but, there's still something to happen. Take the cash out. I have no problem with that. Or it's like it's a big third down play. They're on the line, and you got someone screaming at you to cash out for $10. Like, why are you even gambling? Like, if you literally are sitting there and just going, "Oh no, I can't lose my $10 in a game that's chance of winning," like, why do the bet? Like, the idea that I bet this now at the end of the game I have my $10 back. is not gambling. I didn't really actually gamble then. I just got my bet back. I just basically just it was inertia. I spent 4 hours doing basically nothing. I lose money to make. It's gambling. If you're worried always about cashing out your initial small bet, then just get off the apps or please call the hotline. Please call the hotline. Everything Kurt Warner's been telling us, listen to Kurt, man. Maybe it's just not for you. Um, that's my sports betting rant. Um, yeah, Texans. I mean, Tank Dell getting hurt and being out on IR back this season. They and it was a stupid play he got hurt in. But I mean, the Texans. I mean, they're one of the teams that look. They could be the surprise team in the AFC that I think can make it all. Like I think I'm not saying it's gonna happen for sure, but I was gonna say who's your random team that could just surprise people. Out of the AFC, I'd have to say the Texans because their defense has been playing better. And CJ Stroud looks like he's a creator that can make those things happen when given the chance at times. And I think D'Amico has has been an extraordinary young coach, and this is a team that doesn't have expectations, right? So sometimes those are the most dangerous teams, and if CJ Stroud and company keep playing at the high level they have, game doesn't ending turnover, they're going to be in it, and that's interesting to see. And I mean, the rest of the teams that are going to be wild cards probably, or I mean, even the Jaguars right now, like who's to say that the Texans don't have a better shot than all of them combined? So we're proud Stroud boys here, and we're really getting into the nitty gritty of the season. And the Texans came up with a key victory against another team who's fighting for a wild card berth, left for dead, and the Broncos have looked pretty decent. Like again, they don't look great, but done what they need to do. Wilson's limited the turnovers and the sacks that he was taking here. And the defense has been aggressive lately, and they've been capitalizing on it's just a well-managed team right now. It's not a world-beating team, but it's one that's being managed and playing to its strengths, and it's a team that's playing smart football at times.
I would agree with that, and we're seeing C.J. Stroud look like Joe Burrow did 2021 season when he led the Bengals to the Super Bowl. So if you're saying that's like something they could do, Super Bowl is maybe a stretch, but at the same time, I wouldn't put it totally out of the realm. We've seen the AFC flip itself on its head. I mean, the Chiefs are still around, but they're struggling right now. The Ravens are playing pretty well, but they always have duds of games against bad teams. The Dolphins still, a lot of people would call them frauds because they don't beat teams that are elite. So anything can happen. I'm impressed with Stroud. As you said, we're Stroud boys here. We're part of Stroud boys, and we're 2-0. That probably puts us in the 1% of 1%ers. And we'll keep it rolling, see what happens. Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Carolina Panthers 21-18. This was a close game. Chuba Hubbard had 2 touchdowns for Carolina. I know Cecil and I both had him on different benches of fantasy. We're pulling our hair out because of that. But Mike Evans, 7 catches, 162 yards, and 1 touchdown. He has 1,000 yards in each of his first 10 seasons in the league, which is the first time any player has ever done that. He passes Jerry Rice's record of the first 9 seasons with the 1,000 yards. A guy that you may never say, hey, he was the best receiver in the league, but this long of great production has to be noted, especially with all the quarterbacks he's gone through with Jameis and Tom Brady and now Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Evans is going to – it feels where this rate, yeah, he should be in the Hall of Fame based on the stats, but I think there's like you said, there's a couple things working in his favor. One, which is a huge thing for just any player really that has aspirations to get records, be in the Hall of Fame. It's about longevity and health, playing pretty much full seasons. He's been doing that, which Two, he's had quarterbacks not necessarily always the best. You had Tom Brady there at the end of his career. Um, but also he had guys that are slinging the ball downfield to him, and he does best. Mike Evans is a deep ball guy. He's one of the best at it in the when it happens in games, he takes advantage, and that's a big reason 1,000 yards in every 10 for his first 10 seasons is because he gets those deep balls. He hits them at least once or twice a game. He makes teams pay for not doing more on that post on those routes deep. So yeah, it's a curious case because I don't think anyone puts Mike Evans in the top five, top 10 receiver. There a lot of people kind of like got him better because he was the possession guy who was getting a lot of and making things happen, more with his quickness. But yeah, I mean, it's an accomplishment. The third thing that I think is going for him, and the reason why it's like he's the first one to do it, is because Jerry Rice had 9. You look at the NFL when Jerry Rice was in the NFL, which was the 80s and early 90s. People didn't throw the ball that much, that often. Like the West Coast him. So when we talk about how structured now versus how it was structured 30 years ago, it's the passing attack, the willingness to just throw the ball no matter what, even if the running game's not working. Like some teams, small pass game as an extension of the run game, people are throwing the ball. So I don't think he's going to be the first for a super long time. I don't know next year, but I don't think we're going to wait 30 years for that record to be broken. I think it's going to be more like probably within the next 5 years or so, we'll have someone who gets, 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons. It's very possible. It's a pass-happy league. It's a heck of an accomplishment and good for him. But there's just with what the NFL is now, this game and how, not to take away from what he has done, but a lot of stuff has to go the right way for a receiver a lot of times. And you got to have the right offensive system. You got to have the right quarterback who's willing to throw it to you. But he took advantage of every opportunity, so congrats to him as well.
Absolutely. I think he'll end up in Canton, but you're right. There's a lot of things that do have to go their way. There's, guys who rank in the top 5 in receiving yards who haven't always gotten in. So we'll make sure to keep tracking that. I just think it's impressive what he's done, and hopefully he can keep on doing it through the rest of the year this year, as some of us are heavily invested in him for fantasy purposes. But I digress. We'll move on to the Browns losing to the Rams. The Rams win at 36-19. Matthew Stafford looked pretty good. 3 touchdowns. Puka Nacua, 105 yards and 1 touchdown. And honestly, we talk about Joe Flacco for the Browns last week, and he played pretty well. I think the Browns can make the playoffs with Joe Flacco at quarterback, and that is just, I feel like I'm talking out of Bizarro world here, Cease.
Game I want to bring into the bizarre world we'll talk about later in our recaps. But yeah, it is kind of a bizarre world. See Joe Flacco just straight up, not even on a team, just like straight up out and starts playing for the new Browns, basically. So I guess it's really not one Browns organization to the other. But yeah, he just came in and he was throwing the ball downfield, which is a lot more than some of the guys have been doing. You got some Watson up with the press, like in a suite somewhere. Not sure why he got on the field. That's a big question. Other injured quarterbacks usually with the headset on, communicating with people. I don't know what the hell. But pretty much, good for him. And I'll tell you this: focus on the Rams a little more. Puka Nacua is not like elite in any way, but he just is all around a good football player. And that's the guys where it's just like, are these guys great? No, not. They're just good, and they're just all around good at what they can do, and the teams are able to use that to their advantage. They're reliable, and they've got the speed. There's nothing elite in his profile or his athletic testing, as people like to use these days. He's just an all-around guy who's smart with the football, gets knows what to run, and his quarterback trusts him, and it plays off in this game. Also, Rams look like a complete different team when Kyron Williams is on the field getting the ball. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know. Again, do the Rams make the playoffs? I don't know. But if they keep playing like field and they have him, they aren't gonna. They'll make the playoffs if they keep playing. If that happens, because there are not a lot of teams right now that are stopping the run. Um, and I don't think that anybody's really going to be necessarily ready for that kind of football necessarily, especially Rams. So we'll see. I mean, to be determined with the uphill battle, but I mean, it's crazy how different they look from game to game this year. They're starting to string some stuff together, and they beat the Hawks. Now they beat the Browns. They beat teams that are going to, possibly be in the playoffs. So, I mean, they're a team to look out for, especially in that wild card round when you're playing them.
I definitely look out for them. I think they're a team that's inconsistent, but if they are on one of their good weeks, they could definitely pull up an upset and it gets something done. One of the games we were expected to be really good in this week was the 49ers and Eagles. It didn't end up being a good game. The 49ers blew them out 42-19. Cecil, we were both on this one in terms of our picks to win and cover for the 49ers, and we kind of noted how the Eagles just had so much sloppy play, we'll say, in all their wins, even though they're winning games, sloppy play that could be exploited. And the 49ers, just having that nice balanced roster, really won out. 314 yards passing for Brock Purdy, 4 touchdowns. Deebo Samuel had 2 of those. Christian McCaffrey rushed for 93 yards and a touchdown. I think this might go differently if they played again in the playoffs, but for right now, 49ers are the best team in the league, and I don't think there's anyone who can really have a huge argument against that.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, you look at the body of work, who they've beaten, and not just beaten. I mean, we talk about the top three teams in the NFC. They crushed the Cowboys and they crushed the Eagles. And every other team has lost to those teams basically. So they're not just against the best teams in the NFL. They're destroying them handedly. When this team's healthy, which they are now, it don't look beatable. The only way it looks like they've been beatable is when they have, and every possession counts. That's where they seem to struggle when they're down. Really have that many opportunities to be down because they are such a good team. That is the one way. Basically, if you're a team the playoffs playing them, or you get to the Super Bowl and them, you might be the team that wants. We want the ball first. We're going to try. Just have a really well set up. Your first 10 plays to try to get and put in the 49ers offense and just keep trying to score, because if you can get out ahead, it'll morph this team. We saw it in the Bengals game. We saw it. It's a different game when those guys are, obviously people were hurt, but it's a different game when they can't basically just run the ball, be aggressive, run all these gadget plays that just wear teams down. They have to score points. And I mean, we'll see another team being right now, but if this is the NFC Championship game against the Eagles or the Cowboys, closer. Been in a stretch of the regular season where they play just tough team, and I think they're not a very healthy roster right now. I think if there's a chance they could still get the first round bye. I think of all the top seeded teams, and the 49ers and the Eagles are the ones that need the bye the most, because they are a team that just needs to, heal a little bit. The guys, there's not a lot of guys necessarily, but I mean, in lingering injury, Jalen Hurts isn't 100%. Jason Kelsey isn't. Lane Johnson has been hurt. Just a little bit everyone, and their defensive line is just decimated. So if there's a rematch, what it looks like, big game for Philly this week with Dallas. But yeah, I mean, the 49ers are the team to beat right now.
I think so as well. We'll see how it goes this next week. We have the game we talked about earlier that we're going to pick, 49ers Seahawks. We'll see where we sit on that one and see maybe if anyone can trip up the 49ers on the way to a Super Bowl run, probably. Sunday Night Football series, we had the Packers beating the Chiefs 27-19. Did not see this one coming. The Packers have put something together the last couple weeks here. Jordan Love looks like he's doing a lot better. 267 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's made some throws that make me think he could be a franchise quarterback, whereas earlier in the season I was thinking, okay, the Packers may have not a bad quarterback for once. I don't know. So they look pretty good. The Chiefs are still struggling on offense, only scoring 19 points against a Joe Barry defense who, Packers have some talent, but the defensive coordinator doesn't always set up their defense to have the best success. That's concerning to me for the Chiefs, and the Packers making a little run for the NFC playoffs possibly.
Yeah, the Packers are now back in the hunt. They're very much alive for the playoffs at this point. They get a key victory against the Chiefs team that is getting the benefit of the doubt from me and pretty much everybody out there because it's Patrick Mahomes. But I mean, their receivers just don't. They're not open. They're not really making plays. Travis Kelce can only do so much. He's not the youngest guy, but also he's not like the fastest. He's a possession guy, and I mean, teams in on him. Like there's just Valdez Scantling can't catch the ball half the time, and he's their deep threat. It's just a lot of they just don't have a receiver, and they haven't taken one, and I think it's really causing them to struggle a little bit more. The key injuries, and secondary in this game that were really unfortunate. And I think the big reason why they ended up guys were out, kind of deep balls and things up through the middle of the field kind of happened due to those injuries. But at the same time, I mean, it's just such a different Chiefs team than we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing a team that they could be down by 14 points and there'd be 4 minutes left. You can just go, this game's not, that no matter what happened, like you would have to get like a 4, like even the beginning of the season, right? They went for it on 4th and 25. Like that's the feeling that this team used to have with it. But a lot of the talent just hasn't stuck around on offense. Tyreek Hill, they traded away. Orlando Brown, was a better left tackle for him. He's, with the Bengals now, and Donovan Smith's aging and now is a little hurt. They let tackle leave and go to Jacksonville. I mean, it's a weird shuffling of the team, and it's something you have to do when you have such a huge quarterback. Injuries are hitting them at the wrong time. I think they're getting beat up as well. They need to get healthy. And Pat Mahomes, I don't know what he needs to do. I don't know what him and Andy Reid need to say these. But I mean, they need to get. I mean, this offseason, they need to get a receiver. Like, there's got to be some veteran guy out there that wants to play for the Chiefs and try to win a Super Bowl. Like, he's because trying to make it work with these young guys plus Travis Kelce is just not happening right now. And it could just be what happens in the playoffs. Like, it's not the down passing that's causing this offense to run. It's really great for them. Now, it's just Patrick Mahomes just making plays, either getting the first down or just buying enough time to get, a short completion route to convert, and move the chain. The downfield, deep passing we were, always afraid of with Pat Mahomes, and this offense just doesn't seem to exist anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think that they should maybe focus on running the ball. They averaged 5.9 yards per carry in this game. Isaiah Pacheco averaged 6.1 of them per carry. That's pretty good. I know you have Patrick Mahomes and want to use him, but you could set up the run to set up Patrick Mahomes a little bit better too. Rashee Rice has been a godsend for them. Mid-round pick out of SMU, 8 catches for 64 yards. He's the only receiver doing anything. Everyone else is doing nothing. So it's very tough for this offense to have Travis Kelce, the best tight end. We know that. But then you have one pretty solid receiver, not a number 1, probably not a number 2 on a lot of teams, but very good for a rookie in Rashee Rice, and then a bunch of guys that are doing nothing. So they've missed on some picks like Sky Moore. It doesn't look all that good for the receiving core. You're right. They need to figure it out before the playoffs. Sign someone off the street. I don't care who it is. Sign someone out of retirement. That's something they need to look into because this offense has been not what they usually are at this point of the year, and that's concerning to me heading into the last couple of weeks of the regular season. The last game we'll recap, Cease, Monday Night Football. Did not really think this was going to be a fun game for the Bengals, but they proved me wrong. The Jaguars go up early, and then the Bengals fight back, and Joe Mixon has 2 touchdowns. At the end, or excuse me, near the end of the game, it was Tyler Boyd throwing an interception to Josh Allen, and then the Jaguars score and go up 28-21. I'm thinking, all right, this game's over. The Jaguars will start piling on. I believe that was in the third quarter. Didn't end up happening. The Bengals fought back, and then they took the lead 31-28 on an Evan McPherson field goal where he didn't even know he made it. He thought he missed it. And then they go to overtime. It was at that point, Trevor Lawrence had gone down with injury, so it was C.J. Beathard versus Jake Browning. Jake Browning sets up a game-winning field goal, a walk-off for Evan McPherson. The Bengals are undefeated in those all-white uniforms. That's the only thing I could think of how the Bengals actually won this game, Cecil. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, what a game! Nobody was expecting that going to Monday night. I mean, it was Bizarro World. It was the Bizarro Bengals, and honestly, it was like Bizarro Burrow. It's like a straight up Bizarro from the DC comics for Superman. I mean, he's even got the flip 9. His number's a 6, and they have the same initial somehow. It was Bizarro time for the Bengals today in the passing attack. Lots of completions, a lot of attempts. It seems like 2 things. I really don't know how to explain it. I think it's a little bit of the offense is because the offense 11 personnel, Sean McVay. That's what before the formations that true and this coaching staff was used to. Burrow got there. Burrow likes more empty, more spread the field out in this system. So I don't know if it's a little bit of they can kind of run more their scheme now, and they're more comfortable running, and that's why the offense kind of flowed better. But there were, the trick play, those both. I don't necessarily think there's something wrong with running a trick play, but it didn't work, and I think. When you practice them, I don't know what went through. Reality was, especially on that one, you just chuck it or just start running forward because that weird, I'm going to throw it like across my body, across the field like that, where their bodies just bad decision making. So that play they shouldn't do. They tried to be tricky with the Jamar Chase, which I kind of liked. That they're trying stuff, but by the end of the game, Jake Brown didn't look like he needed that extra stuff. He was just completing passes down the field. There was one, he wasn't doing a lot of deep stuff ultimately, but it was a lot of just taking what the defense was giving him. They didn't adjust very well. Jamar Chase got left pretty much single coverage, and he just beat his man, 10 yards downfield and was off to the races on that big, receiving touchdown he had. I think T. Higgins being back helps as well. I think this Bengals roster is pretty roster that was built to try to make a Super Bowl run with Joe Burrow. So it's not like they've just disappeared. I think a lot of those guys have been hurt. I think he's barely played. T. Higgins that were key players on this team that are just not been there. All back, Kentaro Britt was out in this one, but Chidobe Awuzie kind of stepped up in this game. Where, there's a lot of pieces to this team that are doing well. I think they got motivated. Counted them out. It's hard not to count somebody quarterback who's a top 3 guy in the league. That's a hell of a locker room culture right there. I'll give Zach Taylor that. I think, they motivated together and tried to put a game plan together this week, Browning, that he felt comfortable with, and he felt he could, do. And I think, he breaks like that one big passing touchdown. Complete balls everywhere. And there was some weird stuff going on, like the two false starts in a row. He in the, fourth quarter where he's just, well, I don't starting. I think it's nerves. And I think Jake Browning hasn't played a lot of football in years. I just really don't know what to make of it, other than I think the Bengals team fought really hard. I think the coaches have done a good job of building that culture, which I think is the number one thing. Knows you and I have talked about and have had problems with time and time again from a scheme standpoint. But when you put together these guys and they show fight like that in a primetime game where everyone kind of was, away, and they're able to do so. I mean, the Bengals haven't won a primetime Monday night game since 1990. And they won one despite everything. Are the Bengals going to win the Super Bowl now, or even going to make the playoffs? Probably not. But I mean, keep playing like that, and Jake Browning keeps playing smart football and not, doing dumb things, and they kind of eliminate some of these dumb trick plays. They've got a roster that can get you some wins every once in a while. Got a gauntlet, but I mean, there's a lot of teams that just aren't playing, they were going. So I mean, the NFL seems like really happening week in and week out with a lot of teams right now. There are teams that, they're not going to be favored to win pretty much any of these games, but I mean, they come out like this, it's hard to really say what's going to happen with them. But good for the coach, players in the locker room to not just give up as much as, tanking might be the better solution. If they're going to come out and fight like that and play well and, play for each other, a draft pick, that's fine. That shows me that that's a cultural thing, and that culture can be a big thing, and that helps this team get through a deep postseason in the future. You look at the Steelers. Why are they good every year? It's a cultural thing. They're not going to just lose. Like, they don't choose losing every game. Doesn't matter what people say is going to happen. They're going to fight and they're going to try to win. It's a culture. So know what happened with them. They again became very wildly inconsistent. Trevor Lawrence gets hurt deep late in this game, and that's hard to say what would have happened if he was on the field. But the Jaguars led a Bengals team who had every reason in the game. They let play Jamar Chase, which is probably just the one thing you can't do to this offense. They gave the Bengals capitalized with the win.
Absolutely. You're right. It is a catch-22 situation. The team wants to win. You don't necessarily want to be a fan cheering against them, but it does hurt their draft status. They went from possibly being like the 9th overall pick to the 17th just with that one game. That's how competitive the NFL has been this year. We'll see what happens, later on. They still can get a very good player at 17. I don't know if this is just a one-night magical performance from Jake Browning, or it could be something that goes along. It does seem like they're tailoring the offense to suit his talents, and we can see if that keeps up. All right, so let's go to our Week 14 picks. Cecil, the first game of the week is a doozy. We have the New England Patriots at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are favored by 6, and the over-under for this game is 30.5 points, which is pretty low for an NFL game. One of these that you can skip if you have a date night, but I'm going to be watching because it'll be so fun watching them score 0 points in this game.
No, absolutely. I almost literally sat there Sunday morning and went, I think I might do, especially the weather and all, like just Patriots Chargers game. I didn't go through with it. That was a stupid decision not to do, because who the hell wants? I might do it for this one. This might be a good one to bet some unders. This might be a good one to just, for the heck of it, throw in. If you can get a Steelers anytime defensive touchdown, this might be a good game to just kind of throw a little money on that because it'll still be high odds. So you and I will be watching it. And I mean, I'm going to pick the Steelers to win and cover just because, I mean, offense is non-existent and the Steelers defense is good. And Mr. Trubisky and company can get 10 points. And I think, we could be looking at a 10-3 game, honestly. 13-3, 13-7. We're looking at game that's not going to really be close. It'll just look closer because there'll always be like within a possession pretty much, or a two possession game at the max of 10 points. So it'll be close by scoreboards, but the flow of the game, the Patriots aren't going to be able to move the ball.
I'm going Steelers to win, but Patriots with the point cease. Reason being, the Patriots over like the month of November give up I think the fewest points almost in the last several years. They give up 6 points to the Chargers, which you mentioned, 10 points to the Giants, and 10 points to the Colts. That's crazy. They can play these teams, and some of them have good offense, like the Chargers. Some of them, Tommy DeVito, Giants, up and down and everything. But the Steelers are in the same position, so I think they can hold them to a small number of points. And I think that just, if you're going to give me a 6 point spread, maybe the Steelers win 10-7. Maybe it's 9-6. I don't know. I think they can keep it close. I'm going to trust that the Patriots defense and just the fact that the Steelers will be having a backup quarterback in the game. So Steelers win outright, but Patriots with the points. The Los Angeles Rams go to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Ravens are favored by 7, C's.
Rams, Ravens. Ravens to win. I'm going to right now. I think they're playing hard. I think they've been playing pretty good football the last couple weeks. I just think they're just the talent gap's a little. But I mean, a touchdown is right there. Tease that up to 7.5 to just give yourself avoid the push, or take the push if you want. But I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be within a touchdown. I think it won't be a means, and I think if the Rams are able to kind of dominate, that'll be harder for the Ravens when it comes to rushing and things. Because I mean, ultimately they're a pass rushing team. And I think that's harder to do when you got to kind of account for a running back trying to run up the gut at you all the time.
Definitely. I'm going Ravens to win and cover, though. They have a couple benefits here. They're all coming off a bye week. The Rams are traveling across the country in this one. I think the Rams have been too inconsistent this year. The Ravens know they have to play tough if they want a number one seed. Very wide open between them and the Dolphins right now, it looks like. I think that with that week of rest, they can get things more settled. They're a team that has had a lot of injuries this year, so I think that helps them getting another week of rest this late in the season. They can get some guys fresher, and I think Lamar Jackson's having a pretty good year, so I think I'll take the Ravens to win and cover this one. Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. The Lions are favored by 3 on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to go Lions to win and cover, though they haven't been playing well as of late. I don't think what happened last are going to be much more prepared for the Bears this time around. I think the answers. I think Dan Campbell's just gotta, just get the team ready. I don't know what emotional speech he's got to give, or they are more time in Soldier Field. Just be all down to tackle Jared Goff. Just don't get down like he did in the last game.
Yeah, I think I'm going Lions to win and cover 2. The Bears defense is much improved ever since they got Montez Sweat and everything. But I think they'll be able to protect Jared Goff. And if once they get the lead, I think they're going to be more focused on finishing the game. Dan Campbell, I'm sure that's going to be huge for them. They'll be able to run the ball. Hopefully use Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit more. He had 8 carries for 60 yards last week. Like if he has that many yards per carry, give him the ball some more. So Lions win and cover. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 2.5.
I'm going to go. So, Falcons don't. I don't know what it is about the Buccaneers, but middling teams. I think Baker Mayfield can kind of get them in a position to win the game. And I think, like we've talked about, like I talk about it almost every week, it's the same basic strategy for the Buccaneers offense. I think they're going to do a little better against the run in this game than they did against the Panthers. If Arthur Smith completely commits to Bijan and the offensive weapons in this game, so I'm going to go with the Buccaneers, who are going to let their quarterback just try to get whatever. I like the Bucs here in the upset.
I do too. I have the Bucks in this one. Mentioned how much Arthur Smith has created pains for fantasy managers everywhere with how he's handled things. But he needs to use his players more. Their only touchdown last week was to Michael Pruitt. That's not the greatest thing when you have a guy like Bijan Robinson still sitting there with 3 touchdowns on the year. But I do like the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield has just been targeting Mike Evans heavily. I think there's a matchup problem there that they could exploit, and they're a team that, again, I mentioned a couple weeks ago. They're 2-4 away, right? But like they have a lot of losses to some very good teams this year. There's some that you may be like, okay, well they lost to the Colts, but the Colts are in the AFC playoff picture. They lost to, I mean, the Colts, 49ers, Texans, Bills, Falcons, which divisional game, Lions and Eagles. A lot of their losses are kind of like understandable of why they did it. I think they go into this one, win the game, shake things up in the NFC South rather, and tie for the lead in that division. All right, Indianapolis Colts at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Colts are favored by 1 on the road.
Yeah. This one's. I don't. Again, it's. I'll tell you this as a Bengals fan, being someone who has like a inning of every kind of, it's really helped with my stress levels. My test. It's kind of a weird vibe when you're a Bengals fan. I was watching this Monday night game, and I got into it and I was cheering, but just the level of anger I have after every mistake was lessened because of the people that were starting quarterback. But they've given me a little hope, so let them. I'm going to pick the Colts here to win and cover the 1 point spread. I think Jake Browning have that one game is not enough to really. That's how the season. He's seen a lot of backups have like these crazy games, especially when nobody's preparing for it. I think the Colts really good, and I think they get turnovers, which is I think something that Jake over the ball once or twice, and that could be what causes this game. Also, hopefully should be back and Zach will be there. I think they're on the Bengals' throats and wear them down in kind of a just gritty kind of game. And yeah, I gotta pick just the analytics here. As much as I like what I saw from the Bengals last game, how consistent and how much are we going to see that? But right now, I gotta pick the Colts to win and cover.
Colts to win and cover for me too. Been a better team this season. I think they will run the football, like you said, wear down the Bengals defense, which did show better tackling on Monday Night Football, surprisingly. But now they're coming on a short week. I don't know how that's going to affect them. Colts have an extra day to prepare. I think Zach Moss has a pretty big day, and we just have to see if this is one game fluke for Jake Browning or if it's something he can sustain. This will be a good game for him to try to prove it, but I'm going to take the Colts because I think that's a smart pick with what we know now. Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints. Saints are over by 5.5 at home.
Yeah, give me the Saints at home. Yeah, you know what? I'm doing the spread worries me a little bit, but then I realize it's the Panthers 5.5. The Saints love kicking field goals, so I think they might be not a touchdown. Everyone thinks, oh, the one by touchdown. No, I'm thinking it's going to be a 2 field goals is how they cover this spread. So give me the Saints to win and cover. It's in this, the Mercedes Superdome. Everybody wants to, be there. Very loud, big crowd for the Saints. So I'm going to pick them a team that, giving Chuba Hubbard the ball, great for us. If they want to keep doing that, that's great. I like when coaches just go, I'm done with the backfield with committee. I'm picking the guy in your fantasy roster. If you're a Miles Sanders guy who a lot of people drafted him high and neither of us were into it, we're going to be. I am sorry for you, and I'm just sorry for Miles Sanders in general because it seems like he's just kind of getting the bad end of it in his NFL career so far, between just being a timeshare with the Eagles and now he went to a Carolina team that it doesn't have much. Poor guy.
Yeah, definitely. It's tough to be running back these days. There's always timeshares and guys not getting paid. So We are with running backs. We'll stick with running backs. We are a Derrick Henry should have won the MVP when he rushed for 2,000 yards podcast for sure. So anyway, though, I'm going Saints to win and cover. You're right. The spread scares me with how they're playing, but they are playing the Panthers. The Panthers, their one win on the season was at home. This one's on the road in a tough environment. The Saints have the talent on the roster to cover this spread and probably win by about 2 touchdowns against a team like the Panthers. They need Derek Carr to stop being captain check down as much as it helps me in fantasy football. They need him to throw the ball downfield. They need defense to step up a little bit, and they can win this one and cover. I think they can get the job done. They honestly don't have any other choice because if they lose this game, it really makes it tough to make a push for the playoffs. This is one they got to have. I think they'll be focused and ready to go. Next game, Jacksonville Jaguars at the Cleveland Browns. Now, this line started more towards an even matchup. It was 1.5 this morning, Cease, and that's after the Trevor Lawrence injury. Now it's the Browns favored by 3 points.
Okay. This is stay away from CJ. Said Trevor Lawrence isn't playing this week. I've heard things. They said they're not sure at this point, right?
Yes, they said they're not sure, but I don't know.
I don't know. This is a stay away from until we know more about what's going on with the quarterback. Even then, I'll pick the Browns to win, and I'll just hedge my bet and take the Jacksonville Jaguars for 3 points because I don't know what to say with either of these teams right now. So I'm just going to – Browns, Joe Flacco showed enough, but it doesn't show me enough that they're going to win this game by more than a field goal. So I'm going to hedge my bet with the Jaguars.
Yeah, I'm going Browns to win. I had Browns to win at 1.5 in my picks against the spread article earlier today on thegamehouse.com. But I think the 3 is tough because I do think C.J. Beathard can maybe keep this somewhat close. I'll say Browns win and cover too, I guess. It's a tough spread. It's tough to know how Joe Flacco will be a second week. I don't know. If I were the Jaguars, I would hold Trevor Lawrence out for the next couple weeks here. Save him for, if you sit him out for the Browns game and then they play the Ravens, you avoid some of the tougher defenses. Put him back in the lineup for the Buccaneers, Panthers, and Titans. Get him ready for the playoffs. You already have a pretty good spot for the AFC playoffs at this point. So sitting him for a week or two against these good defenses where you could take some hits might not be the worst strategy. Next game we have, Cecil, is the Houston Texans at the New York Jets. Texans favored by 6.5. We don't know what Houston favored by 5.5. We don't know what the Jets quarterback situation looks like still today, and it's Tuesday, so who knows?
With that being said, I'm going to go Houston to win. I'm going to take the points with the Jets right now, just because it's their defense. C.J. Stroud's a rookie quarterback, man, and I think there could be some turnovers. I think this is going to be a great testament to see where C.J. Stroud is as we kind of talk about a playoff push. That being said, there's some weird stuff that seems to happen in these games with the Jets. I don't 5. If it was close, I'm just worried it's too high a spread because the defense may cause some safety or something crazy will happen. It'll mess the spread completely. So, give me the Texans to win. If you're a smart man out there, you're going to bet the Texans money line and try not to screw with the points because it's kind of a variable with the way the Jets defense plays.
Yeah, I'll go Texans win and cover. I just don't know how they're going to score points if they don't know who the quarterback is. Is it Zach Wilson? Is it Trevor Siemian? This is a terrible offense, and it's not just the quarterback's fault. The offensive line is an issue. They have a couple, the Garrett Wilson's a good receiver, but who else do they have? We talked about all offseason. Alan Lazard, is he good? Randall Cobb, all these guys that you thought would be good and just aren't that great. And even Dalvin Cook's declined too at running back. I think the Texans can do it. I think they can go on the road and win this one. They need to stay focused. They can stay alive in that AFC South with a win, and if they cover, that'd be great too. Sunday evening game, Cease, we have Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are favored by 10.5.
Who are the 49ers playing?
The Seahawks.
Seahawks. Holy crap. 49ers to win. that line is always scary as hell. Um, but you know what? The 49ers are rolling. I'm going to roll with it. I wouldn't necessarily jump at the opportunity to bet that line. But if we're picking them as they are, as Vegas is giving them to me, I'll take it. And I'll be able to sleep with it. It's one of those. You get above 10 points, you're just suddenly open yourself up to backdoor covers and stuff like that that can just start. And the Seahawks played better last week, but this is a 49ers team. I'm talking to it as I talk about it. Give me the 49ers to win and cover.
There you go. I'm going to go the 49ers to win, but Seahawks with the points. They had extra time to prepare for this game. They played on Thursday against the Cowboys last week. I think the Seahawks are getting into more desperation mode. They've lost the last couple games. They know they need to get a win. I don't know if that'll be enough to get the win. I'm obviously taking 49ers, outright, but the Seahawks, I think, can give them a good fight and keep it maybe to a 10-point spread. The Seahawks are a team that I think will need to try to make this push to make the playoffs, and the San Francisco 49ers, they've played really well the last several weeks, but and they've won every game by more than 10 points. I just think that has to end at some point. Like, I can't see this keep on going the way it has. The closest margin of victory they've had is 13 points, which came against the Buccaneers since their bye week. It's just it can't keep on going on. It's just it's too crazy. So good for them for playing that well. I guess that's the good news. Minnesota Vikings.
They're not a lot to lose.
Yeah. Minnesota Vikings at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Minnesota Vikings are favored by 3 points on the road.
All right, let's see here. Vikings, welcome back from the bye week. 3.5 points on the road. I mean, it'd be an interesting one. It's the Raiders. So, I mean, Las Vegas, it's a dome situation, so you have to take that into account here. Um, I mean, I'm going to just say Vikings. Uh, we'll see where Josh Dobbs and offense looks after kind of practicing, after he's kind of just been thrown off the street. I mean, their pass defense does against. And it'll be interesting. The Raiders also had their bye, I believe, so it'll be interesting for both these teams off the bye to see what they bring to the table. But I think just the Vikings have thrown together more wins, so I'll give the Vikings to win and cover. But it's a small enough spread for my taste.
Yeah, I'm going Raiders to win this one. They're at home, coming off a bye as well. I think they've been playing tougher since Antonio Pierce took over as head coach. Doesn't mean they're perfect. They've lost a game. But the Vikings have those quarterback issues where they don't know who they're going to start. Makes me kind of wonder, does that instill faith in the quarterback you put in there? Is it more of a quick pull situation if he does something wrong? I don't know. I'll take the Raiders. I think they'll focus on running the ball and getting the ball to Devontae Adams. And that could be enough to get the win. Buffalo Bills at Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs over by 2.5. Cease, one of the games that we thought could be one of the best of the NFL season, but looking like it will just be okay.
Yeah, 10.5 for Chiefs Bills.
2.5.
2.5. I thought you said 10. Sorry, folks, we have a little audio difficulty, but it's okay. You know what? I mean, I'm gonna pick the Bills. I think they've been better football. I think the Chiefs have gotten a little hurt, and I mean, the X factor here is that Isaiah Pacheco at all. If they can, I think they win this game. They keep their playoff hopes alive. So I think the desperation's key for this. They're still pissed. And they feel like between them and the Chiefs and Bengals have just ruined their lives, which I don't think is necessarily the fairest thing. I think it's just the reality of the teams beat them. And their team is in a weird, not always the best way. So give me the Bills in the desperation game. They're kind of in a must-win mode. Chiefs are kind of in a weird place right now, so I'll take the Bills with the upset.
I'll take Chiefs to win and cover. Personally, I think they can get things right quicker than many people expect. They're coming home in this one. I think they'll focus maybe on running the ball a little bit more in this game, but I also think there's motivation for the Chiefs here. You can make it 9-4. You can stay in play for maybe a number one overall seed because their schedule is not the toughest down the stretch. But also, you can have a chance to knock the Bills out of the playoff spot right now, and they'll have to work their way back into it. Tough place to play at Arrowhead. I think they can win and cover this one. Next game up, we have Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are favored by 3 points.
I'm going to go with the Broncos upset here because I don't trust the Chargers at all. Honest to God, I think it's just too little, too late for them. Like I said, I think the Broncos are managing well, and I think that'll just be enough to eke out the win. Basically, it's going to be close. I have zero confidence in the Chargers right now.
I don't blame you for that, Cease. I'm going to go Chargers to win and cover. I just believe in the talent some reason still. I don't know. The Broncos' hot streak is over. I feel like this team should be able to win this game. They're coming back. Herbert's had a chance to heal up over a couple weeks. Hopefully over a couple weeks. He's played through it, but I think they can win and cover. They're at home. It'll be nicer weather. Keenan Allen will be utilized more heavily in this game. I'll take them to win and cover. I'm not too confident either way you go in this one. This is one where I would stay away from gambling, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. I like just it's just two teams that are inconsistent, and you got one who has all the talent, but they don't. Another team has played above their talent level so far, and yeah, you're just in for a weird game. So just if don't bet it. Like there's better games to bet this weekend.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to Sunday Night Football. It is one of the best of the season. We have the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys favored by 3.5 points, Cease.
How about them Cowboys? The teams have each lose on the road to each other the last season. Obviously, Cowboys are in a good place. I think the Cowboys have everything to gain. The Eagles have everything to lose. I think the Eagles are getting beat up, like I talked about. They're on the schedule so far. The Cowboys have gotten extra rest this week. They played on a Thursday night. That extra rest is definitely going to play into account. Eagles are, just a physical team that just grades on you like that. That's going to have a lot of effect on your body. So I think the Cowboys at home are going to win and cover this one. Spread's in a really good spot. It's going to be a good game. But ultimately, I like the Cowboys to pull it out. And this will definitely be one I'm putting some prop bets on. I think there's going to be some offense here, and it's going to be an exciting Sunday night game to watch.
I'm excited too. I'm going Cowboys to win. Dak actually has done a very good job of beating the Eagles historically. I think he's on fire right now. Their schedule gets still tough down the stretch. They still have games with like the Dolphins and the Lions and everything, so they want to try to win this one for sure. I think the Eagles can cover the spread. It's a small spread. It's 3.5, right? But I think the Cowboys can win by a field goal. It's going to be highly competitive, a divisional game. It may be like something we're ready for a high-scoring matchup, but ends up being low-scoring and the defensive step up. I'll take Eagles with the points. Cowboys, money line. There are 2 Monday Night Football games this week, Cease. We're going to start it off with the first one. We have the Green Bay Packers at the New York Giants, and the Packers are favored by 6.5 points.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Weather pending, obviously, but the Packers, what they've been showing me the last couple weeks, Giants, come off a bye, but they're a beat up football team, a lot of injuries. So I'm going the Packers to roll in this one.
Packers to win and cover for me too. They're on a roll. Jordan Love's playing well. And, Tommy DeVito, as much as we love him, up and down quarterback. It's just, I think the Packers can take advantage and get the win and cover. The last game of the week, Cease, we have the Tennessee Titans at the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are favored by 13 points.
Yeah. What's the spread, Joe?
13.
Whew. You know what? We're going to go full send here. Dolphins to win and cover. If you're a betting human being like I am, be smart. just take 12 and a half. Just tease that little bit off. Just shave it off of there because I mean at 13, again, a lot of backdoor covers, stupid two, and when you're down by that much, which we think will happen, don't let some stupid field goal and this or that happen, and that causes you to lose at 13 points or something. Like take the 12 and a half, assume, the touchdown, ensure yourself for missed extra, or, two field goals are up by. Just don't, just be smart. High spreads worry me, but ultimately, I know the Dolphins are a good team. They're a team that likes to play fast. I don't think the Titans are going to have Anthony. I think it's going to be Derrick Henry's going to have to get going early for the Titans to even make this a game. And I think that's going to be a struggle. And I think Will Levis is going to get picked off twice.
I'm a little different than you see. So I'm going Dolphins win and cover, but you move that spread up. You move it up to give you better odds. You put it up at like 16 and a half. I think this is a team that
to the moon, baby. 25. Let's go 23 and a half.
Let's fucking do it. We have the Titans have not won a game away from home. It is in Miami. The weather is supposed to be 75 degrees. They'll have to try to get Tyreek Hill the ball. He wants this 2,000 yards. He wants the MVP. The Titans' offensive line has had their issues. Derrick Henry's starting to come along, but it's like the weather's getting colder in most cities. But in Miami, it's 75, so maybe it's not like one of those things where people will be scared to tackle them. The Dolphins' defense is coming along too. I'm all hyped up for this game. I'm picking the Dolphins to win and cover. That probably means the Titans will come up with a crazy upset the way the NFL is going this season. But nonetheless, still a little bit of fun here. All right, Cease, any final thoughts for the week?
No, keep riding the Dolphins, folks. Dolphins have really not steered me wrong almost all year on prides. There's just some things. Their offense they turn out yards, they turn out points, and they don't go conservative when you still need stats in the second half and they're up. So, to God, I might have to write, as much as I've been writing letters and doing vendor requests to various head coaches of the NFL this year, I might write Mike McDaniels a nice thank you card. I don't know where he lives. I'll find out either. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for continuing to try to score points. You're the best, even if the Dolphins don't make a deep playoff run, which is, I hope they do, because we're. But thank you for being a real G, and just stand the struggle of gamblers out there like.
Definitely. We're rooting for them now that the Bengals likely have no shot. This is, if the Dolphins end up winning the Super Bowl and I make some money on these bets, Mike McDaniel can, and maybe Tua too, can expect some donations to their charities of their choosing, because that would make me very happy. They're a team that has given me success in fantasy, success in gambling this year. Lots of fun this year for the Dolphins. My turn to remind everyone to like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, on YouTube, all that fun stuff. Leave us a review. We'll use that feedback to make the podcast better as we go along. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.